They say every masterpiece tells a story, but what if the story was a lie? Imagine a painting worth $50 million hanging proudly in a museum, admired by millions, yet every brushstroke is the work of a forger hiding in the shadows. In the glamorous world of art, where beauty meets billions, deception has become an art form of its own. Welcome to the dark world of art forgery, where fake paintings make fortunes. Reputations are built on lies, and the line between genius and fraud is thinner than a single stroke of paint. In a world where a single canvas can sell for more than a private island, there exists a secret battlefield of lies, skill, and deception. Here, a brushstroke can build an empire, and a forged signature can destroy one. Today, we're stepping into the shadows of the art world, the hidden realm where fake paintings fool museums, where forgers outsmart experts, and where millions are made on masterpieces that never truly existed. This isn't just art. This is the dark world of forgery. For centuries, art has been a symbol of culture, power, and wealth. Kings collected it, emperors commissioned it, and billionaires bid for it. But with such prestige comes temptation. Where there is value, there will always be those willing to cheat the system. And in the art world, forgery has become one of the most profitable crimes in history. The incredible part is that many forgers weren't in it just for the money. They often wanted recognition, respect, or revenge against an industry they believed had rejected them. And that's what makes their stories even more fascinating. Take the story of Han van Meegeren, a Dutch painter in the early 20th century. He wasn't respected in the art scene. Critics dismissed his work. Galleries ignored him, and he grew bitter. But instead of giving up, he hatched a plan. If the art world wouldn't recognize him, he would trick it. Van Meegeren began studying the techniques of the old masters, particularly the 17th century painter Johannes Vermeer. With painstaking detail, he mixed his own paints, aged his canvases, and even baked his paintings in an oven to simulate centuries of wear. The results were astonishing. Experts, the very ones who mocked his own art, praised his newly discovered Vermeers as masterpieces. One of his fakes was even sold to the infamous Nazi leader Hermann Göring during World War II. By the time Van Meegeren was exposed, he had fooled the entire art establishment. And here's the twist: when he stood trial, he wasn't condemned as a criminal, but celebrated as a folk hero for outsmarting both the Nazis and the pompous art world. Van Meegeren's story is just one chapter in a much larger saga. The truth is, art forgery isn't just about skill with a brush. It's a game of psychology, science, and storytelling. Forgers don't just copy paintings, they create entire false histories. They invent backstories, forge documents, and craft believable tales of rediscovery. A painting without provenance, without a story of where it's been, arouses suspicion. But give it a dramatic tale of being found in a dusty attic or a long-lost treasure from a forgotten estate, and suddenly, collectors see romance instead of risk. One of the most notorious modern forgers was Wolfgang Beltracchi, a German artist with extraordinary talent. He didn't just imitate the old masters, he created paintings in the style of famous artists that never actually existed. Instead of forging an existing Picasso or Max Ernst, he painted works that those artists could have painted, based on their known styles. It was genius because there was no real version to compare his work to. Beltracchi fooled experts for decades, making millions as his fake paintings entered prestigious collections. He once bragged that his paintings hung in museums all over the world, displayed as authentic works. When he was finally caught in 2010, the scandal shook the art world to its core. But how do these forgers get away with it for so long? After all, we live in an age of technology, with forensic tools that can analyze pigments, carbon date canvases, and detect even the slightest inconsistencies. The surprising truth is that science doesn't always solve the problem. Forgeries often go undetected because the art market itself doesn't want to admit mistakes. Imagine a museum spending $50 million on a newly discovered painting, only to find out it's a fake. Admitting that would destroy reputations, devalue collections, and cost millions. So sometimes experts would rather look the other way. And then there's the matter of ego. Curators and collectors often want to be the ones who discover a lost masterpiece. That desire can cloud judgment. Forgers know this, and they exploit it. They feed the fantasy, providing the exact kind of artwork an expert wants to find. When a forger offers the missing piece that fills a gap in an artist's career, it feels too good to be true. And yet, time and time again, experts fall for it. The stakes are enormous. In 2011, the prestigious Knoedler Gallery in New York, one of the oldest art dealers in America, collapsed after it was revealed that dozens of works they had sold, worth over $80 million, were fakes. For nearly 15 years, the gallery had been selling paintings supposedly by Rothko, Pollock, and Motherwell, all supplied by one mysterious dealer. Wealthy collectors, including celebrities, snapped them up, believing they were acquiring masterpieces of abstract expressionism. But in reality, the paintings were being produced in a garage by a Chinese immigrant in Queens, who was paid a few $1,000s for each canvas. The scandal destroyed careers, ruined reputations, and proved that even the most elite institutions could be fooled. What's even more fascinating is the cat-and-mouse game between forgers and investigators. Every time science develops a new way to detect fakes, forgers adapt. For example, when experts began testing for modern pigments, forgers scoured antique shops for old paint supplies. When canvas dating became more precise, they ripped the material from centuries-old furniture and painted on it. Some even used hairline cracks and dirt from old frames to make their work appear aged. The best forgers are not just artists, they're scientists, detectives, and psychologists rolled into one. But behind all the deception, there's something strangely poetic about art forgery. Think about it, a painting that can fool the world, move people emotionally, and inspire awe. Isn't that, in some way, still art? Some argue that forgery itself is a form of creative genius, a rebellious statement against an elitist art market that values names over beauty. Others see it as pure fraud, a crime that cheats collectors and distorts history. The debate continues, but one thing is certain: forgeries have changed the way we see art forever. Of course, not all forgers are in it for profit. Some simply crave recognition. Elmire de Hory, one of the most prolific forgers of the 20th century, spent decades producing fakes in the style of Picasso, Matisse, and Modigliani. His works infiltrated museums and collections worldwide. But de Hory wasn't driven by greed, he desperately wanted to be acknowledged as a great artist. Tragically, his true works never sold, but his forgeries made millions. To this day, no one knows how many of his paintings are still hanging in galleries, believed to be genuine. Then there's the irony that some forgeries have themselves become valuable. Van Meegeren's fake Vermeers are now highly prized, not as works by Vermeer, but as legendary forgeries. Collectors pay millions for them, not because they're real, but because of the incredible story behind them. It's as if the forgery itself has become a piece of history, a reminder of the audacity and brilliance of those who dared to deceive. The question remains, can the art world ever truly protect itself from forgery? With advancements in AI, digital imaging, and forensic science, we're getting closer to definitive authentication methods. Yet, as history shows, no matter how sophisticated detection becomes, human desire, whether for profit, prestige, or the thrill of discovery, will always create openings for deception. As long as art carries both emotional and financial value, forgery will remain an inescapable shadow. At the heart of this world lies a paradox. We value art not just for how it looks, but for the story behind it, the hands that painted it, the history it represents, the authenticity of its origins. Strip that away, and what's left? If a forgery moves us just as much as the original, if we stand in front of it and feel awe, then how different is it? Really? That's the uncomfortable question that forgers force us to confront. Perhaps that's why the dark world of art forgery continues to fascinate us. It's not just about crime or money, it's about human weakness, pride, and the lengths people will go to chase recognition. It's about the fragile line between truth and illusion, and how easily even the smartest among us can be deceived. The next time you find yourself standing before a masterpiece, ask yourself, are you admiring the genius of a celebrated artist? Or the cunning of a forger who outwitted the world? In the end, perhaps the greatest masterpiece isn't what hangs on the wall but the illusion itself. Because in the dark world of art forgery, truth is fragile, beauty is a weapon, and the line between real and fake is as thin as a single brushstroke.